Kelley Flanagan has spoken out about her and Peter's split. Hey guys, welcome back to another shared news from home. We have new details from Kelley, but before we get into it, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring, and today I'm joined by the wonderful Mariah Davis. Mariah, I know you and I have a lot of thoughts on this, so let's just get right into it. After their Super Bowl reunion, a lot of fans questioned what the future looked like for Kelley and Peter, and Kelley just set the record straight, you guys, and no room for error here. During her recent appearance on Kaitlyn Bristowe's Off the Vine podcast, she discussed what led to her and Peter calling off their relationship for good last month. So the door is closed. Kelley shared that for her, it came down to, quote, non-negotiable issues. She explained, on my end, there were just a lot of non-negotiables in the relationship that they essentially were seeming to be worked on or saying that what they were going to be worked on or changed, and actions kind of speak louder than words. She added that discussions around her non-negotiables weren't really changing. Now, we don't know what they are, right? She didn't go into details. She didn't share a list of grievances or break it all down. But basically, there are some issues that they just could not get past. Does this surprise you, Mariah?
It honestly doesn't. I'm a big believer in if a relationship comes to an end and if you restart it, it will come to an end. Like, I feel like that is true 9.5 out of 10 times. Like, not even the full. I just don't think it's possible. I honestly think if it closes, it closed for a reason, and it's probably best to not reopen that chapter. So I'm not surprised. I know we previously made some assumptions about Peter that we kind of based off of the character that we saw during his season and what we've seen out of him since. So I'm not surprised that if Kelley was like, "Hey, these things bother me, they're not working for me. How can we make this work?" Or her expectations not really being met by him. So no, not surprised. Honestly, I'm glad that they're finally over. Like, I'm sad to see. I know breakups are hard for everyone, so I don't take joy in the fact that anybody is hurting, but I was never a Kelley and Peter fan from day one.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I've always been a Kelley fan. I love Kelley. I think she's great. Peter was what he was. He was Bachelor. I feel like I have roasted Peter on this channel 100
Yeah.
times. I've just always thought she is such a fabulous, strong person, and I've never fully gotten it. But again, love is love. Chase your bliss.
Yeah.
Do what makes you happy. But in this case, it does seem like, the writing was maybe on the walls for a little while now. This kind of does make sense to me as we're watching it play out. Kelley also shared just some details, some insight into kind of how their relationship worked. She said she was very vocal and did not shy away from the issues. She's, not afraid to be confrontational. She said, quote, if there was something that I saw as disrespectful in a relationship, I would speak on it. I was pretty vocal. I think communication is huge in a relationship. And there were things that essentially I would be like, hey, this makes me feel like this makes me feel this way. So, what I'm kind of taking from this, if one of my girlfriends was constantly telling me, right, like my boyfriend is doing this thing and it doesn't make me feel very good, and I keep having to explain to him, why it doesn't make me feel good, that's frustrating, right? I mean, Kelley has always seemed so mature. And I think that, this would get exhausting at a certain point, constantly being the most mature person in the relationship. I don't know. What do you think?
That's 100% how I go about my relationships. I feel like well, obviously, it goes without saying communication is key. I know we've all heard that before, but it's so true. Like, if there's an issue, I'm a big believer in just confronting the issue in a mature, kind of calm way, and usually stating it by, I don't like the way that this makes me feel. And I feel like we've seen this is what she's saying, and that's how she's approached things. I think that's the best way to communicate because you're not attacking something that somebody has done, that your partner has done. You're just saying what you've done, whether right or wrong. I'm not loving the way it's making me feel. And I think that's the most mature way to go about communication in a relationship. So if you are constantly repeating yourself and that isn't being received by your partner, then you guys are not moving forward. And if you're in a relationship that doesn't move forward, then you need to get out of it. So I'm glad that Kelley has decided that she is no longer going to continue going on this way. I agree. I think she's always seemed very mature, too mature for Peter, if you ask me. So good for her. I think, I celebrate her in this moment that she has decided to choose better for herself.
I am so with you. Going back to the breakup itself, though, I know we talked about this. It felt very sudden, right? You could scroll through their Instagram feeds and feel like you got whiplash from like the last lovey dovey post to the breakup post. It was so abrupt. And that timing led a lot of fans, myself included, to speculate that it may have been a little messy behind the scenes just because of how sudden it really did come as news to all of us. Of course, the thing that really came as a shock was Peter's Instagram. Kelley told Kaitlyn that she had actually asked Peter not to post about their New Year's Eve breakup because she hadn't had a chance to tell her friends and family. She said, quote, I think there was some kind of mental thing going on with him, essentially saying, like, I had to do this in 2020, like, do whatever you want, but I'll post it when I feel comfortable. So this literally just makes me go, yikes. I do understand on some level if she's kind of saying the mental thing about like wanting to start a new year with a fresh start, but when you're public figures, right? And that fresh start is announcing to the whole world, the media, fans, etc., that things have ended so quickly after they've ended, that is a tough position to not only put your partner in, but to honestly put yourself in, right? You think he maybe wanted to give himself a little breathing room there. It definitely feels like it was sudden, it was abrupt, and maybe it wasn't the best move.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like if you make that statement in 2020, it's going to be over right then and there and you're going to have an immediate fresh start. It's obviously big news. It's going to drag out. And if you can't have just the basic respect to at least let your partner inform their family and friends, like we kind of saw this with Dale and Claire. It was like there was no respect on, hey, I'm going to let you process this huge change. We're no longer going to be together. Tell your family, tell your friends, hope you can heal from this. It seems very inconsiderate to me. So it almost seems like a replay of what we saw with Claire and Dale. So yeah, it's a messy situation. I don't think it was the best move, but it's already done. Here we are. We're in March now. So what can you do?
Yeah, you're right. It is. It happened. It is what it is. We're now dealing with the fallout. An interesting thing, you guys, that definitely I think is kind of new information. It's clarifying the timeline of it all a little bit because their breakup caught us off guard, but also that reunion caught us off guard, right? I mean, it all felt so sudden, so back to back. Kelley also revealed that Peter did try to get back together with her about a week after their split. So just around a week after declaring to the world, that they were done, they were on different paths. She said he essentially tried to like get back together, was trying to work on things, and I was pretty hesitant towards all of it. She continued saying, he's telling me like, I love you, I want to get back together with you. And then she explained timeline wise, after Valentine's Day, they officially did call it quits. So again, as I mentioned, we did see that Super Bowl reunion. They did seem to be out on the town, not afraid to show the world that they were together. Obviously, they knew people were going to talk in that moment. So it did seem like maybe there was some hope there. But now she's saying, it's done for good, both moving on. This just feels like an emotional roller coaster to me. I can't
Right.
imagine going through this in a personal relationship or watching someone, I'm close to go through this kind of roller coaster timeline, let alone go through it, with the public scrutiny. It really feels like it kind of went off the tracks here a little bit.
It just seems sketchy to me how abruptly he made a statement about their breakup and then how quickly he kind of retracted and wanted to get back together. I feel like this skeptic in me who chooses to think like all men are evil and they have the awful intentions is like Peter maybe wanted to be in the single scene so quickly. So he wanted to make it like public. Hey, I'm fresh. I'm on the market. And then he had that part of him that's like, man, I miss Kelley. Like she was good to me. Being single is hard because it is. It's a scary, like new game to be in. It's not as great as some of you may think. And then so maybe he wanted to come crawling back. I don't know. And then it's everything happens so quickly. You're not going to have any time to grow or to fix the issues that led you to going your separate ways in the first place. So that to me just seems like emotional immaturity on his part. But again, I'm glad that Kelley is like, you know what? We're going to put that to bed. We're not going to let history repeat itself. We're really done now. So good for her.
Mhm.
And I guess good for him too. I mean, it's good for anybody to just put down kind of toxic repetitions of what they were doing in their relationship.
Right. And I mean, listen, not to put Peter on blast for the actions of his season yet again, because I really try not to harp on Peter too much. But that season was, oh my goodness, so much. If you guys were along for the ride of our recaps at the time, I was losing it week to week because he drove me crazy because he was so
Yeah.
indecisive. I mean, listen, he got engaged and then on the after the final rose stage was trying to make it work with the other girl, and then we found Kelley,
Yeah.
right? Like, this was just all season long he struggled to make decisions. Post season he struggled to make decisions, and then when he finally landed with Kelley, I felt like, okay, I trust Kelley, she's got to see something there. But now it feels like the reasons they broke up, I mean, based on what we know, comes back to Peter just can't make up his mind. So again,
Right.
that is maturity. I don't think he's a horrible guy, right? I don't think he goes into things with a very malicious intent, but I do think that a little maturity, a little more life experience, like, might really put him in that place he thought he was in when he went and became the bachelor, to settle down, to get married, to have that permanent, long lasting relationship. And then the other thing, I mean, Kelley's speaking out right now, saying all of this to me. It's a pretty good sense that the door is closed, right? She seemed to be a little more
Yeah.
level headed about wanting to make that Instagram announcement. Now she's out saying that this is done, done for good. To me, it feels like she really believes that. She's not one to go out and say that and make it public if she feels like the door is still open, which kind of leads us to where things stand now, what she told Kaitlyn about that. She said, quote, "I don't think I will be in communication with him. It's a place in my past. I'm focusing on my future wishes. I don't think it was the healthiest thing for me to keep my past and my future, and I wish him well." She also, the big question I think a lot of people keep coming back to is, oh, are they both gonna, still move to New York City? They were gonna move together. Does that mean they're, one of them is gonna back out? No, she still is gonna move to New York. She joked that it is a big city and that they will be fine. So it's a very sad ending, all things considered. Even though Peter drove me crazy, I think I was still rooting for them to be happy after all of the
Mhm.
ups and downs to finally get together. But it does sound like it's for the best. I mean, I feel like this is probably the right call. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't take joy in anybody hurting. If you're in a relationship and you decide like you're going to go your separate ways, that's a painful time, regardless if it really is for the best. And my personal opinion, though I don't know either of them or really a lot on their history as a couple, but I think it's for the best. I'm with you. Like, I don't think Peter's a bad guy, but he drove me crazy in his season. Like, he was my absolute least favorite bachelor of all time. No offense, Peter, but kinda. So I think it's for the best that they're going their separate ways, and I'm excited to see what they both do with their lives separately.
Yeah, I am totally with you. I think bright things are ahead for both of them. Obviously, we wish them nothing but happiness. You guys, on that note, we want to know what you make of these new details, some more insight into what led to this split. And honestly, are you still rooting for them? Some of you out there might be. So let us know down in the comments. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future updates. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring. I was joined by the wonderful Mariah Davis. If you want to come say hi, our social handles are on the screen right now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.